Make Your Peace podcast is the Wynonna Earp fan podcast that digs deep into every episode, not only providing comprehensive recaps, but also delving into character relationships and motivations. Hosts Catherine and Laura take their time exploring all of the nooks and crannies of each action-packed episode, puzzling over and speculating on moments you may have missed. If you enjoy a good discussion of your favorite sci-fi show, then this podcast is definitely for you. You can find Make Your Peace podcast on Twitter at 4YE_MYP podcast, where you will find links to their latest episodes. Make Your Peace podcast. Dig a little deeper.
Hey everyone, welcome to Make Your Peace, a 4YE podcast about Wynonna Earp. I'm Catherine Meushaw.
And I'm Lara Hayes.
And today we'll be discussing Season 3, Episode 7, I Fall to Pieces. And as per usual, a few notes before we get into it. First off, thanks to the folks at Earp Fiction Addiction podcast for the commercial. And secondly, thank you to everybody for the comments and sharing the podcast and everything. And letting us know your theories and everything. That's always fun. We really appreciate it. So keep them coming, and I will make an effort to respond. If I haven't yet, that is just because I probably left it open and then accidentally closed it. So it's my bad.
And I'm hit or miss. I see it or I don't.
Usually she sees the YouTube comments because I show them to her, so.
I know. I gotta get better.
It's okay, it's okay. They're always lovely. It's always lovely people who comment on our YouTube. Anyway, so this episode was kind of a lot of fun. So what was it about, Laura? Do you have a Stefan recap?
I do. I was just going to say, I'm going to let my inner Stefan take this one.
Yes!
So this episode has everything. Widower gnomes, Coyote Ugly jokes, Alanis Morissette lyrics, occult closets, abandonment issues, chosen family feels, homophobic xenophobes getting cat choked, and the Golden Girls.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was like your best one yet.
Thank you.
So with that, how about that title?
The title comes once again from country legend Patsy Cline. And my first impression, this was another tough one for me because I love Patsy Cline, so the lyrics were a little bit distracting. What I will say was that in no way was I anticipating a buddy cop episode, especially considering that, it was named after a Patsy Cline song. So I was not ready for this.
I knew it was going to be a Wynonna and Nicole episode, as the 7th episode of each season has now started. It's become a trend now where it's the 7th episode of each season has some fun Wynonna and Nicole moments, and I appreciate that we went from some scenes, some top shelf scenes, to, the adventure to
Pussy
the Revenant. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then now we get, a whole episode where they're, a big focus.
Mm-hmm.
Also, random fun fact, there's an Angel episode with the same title. It is a Season 1 episode, like Episode 4. So, that's a fun fact if you're an Angel fan.
Nice.
Yeah. So, there was so much in this episode.
So much.
Where do you want to start?
You know what? Let's start at the opening scene.
Do we have to start at the
we do.
Opening scene?
Yes, we do. And I'll tell you why. I know.
That was a very upsetting way to start an episode.
I know it was. Charlie is not my favorite, obviously. But I think that the beginning was pretty amazing. Wynonna gets hot blocked yet again. Waves is passing out donuts in her beautiful little blazer, wearing her little hot for sheriff pin. At least I really hope that that's what it says. And also that's what we're using for the blurb this week. But, it's a perfect way to start the episode with Win Hot pursuing strikingly different goals just on two totally separate wavelengths.
All right. See, when you said opening scene, I was I didn't know that you were including Nicole in that, so that's why I was really upsetting. But as long as Nicole is included in that, I love that. There were so many parts of that, that were so great. Once again, this was a great, like, physical comedy episode. Like, we get another good physical comedy episode. We get a lot of really great looks from people. Like, the look on Nicole's face after Wynonna gets out of the truck is so great. And the look she's kind of like, when the firefighter's like, I'm April, and she's like, Happy Easter to me! So great. But yeah, the look on Nicole's face after Wynonna gets on the truck is, like, so great, and I love it so much.
I do too.
I have to say, like, if I had to choose between that Wynonna and Charlie scene and the next scene, which is, like, Doc and Kate, where you get, like, shirtless and then butt flap Doc.
Yeah.
That's what I kept calling it. I really would have gone for, like, Doc in that with all of this, just because, like, I don't like Charlie and Wynonna together at all, and while we did get the nice bonus of, like, Wynonna in very little clothing, it's still, like, Charlie was still there, so...
I like, deeply appreciate that her bra and underwear never matches.
Yeah.
I mean, love that. I think it's so human. Every single time we see her in her underwear, they don't match. And I'm just like, thank you. Thanks. I feel really seen.
Yeah, I mean, who's got time for that?
Nobody.
Nobody's got time for that.
Speaking of that Doc scene, though, like, once again, kind of changing gears, like, once again we see that Bulshar's ring, like, can't be worn by a demon because Doc can't wear it anymore. And once again, I'm not sure why the ring can be worn by humans / Bulshar, but I would guess that Bulshar cursed the ring in some way to sort of recognize him as the only demon that can wear it, as, like, a way to keep his enemies from possessing its power.
Maybe.
And it's just like a superpowered demon to not even entertain the thought of a human stealing it. And
right.
Yeah. And also, when is Doc going to start gliding around in a cloud of pink smoke? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I can roll with that. But did you happen to notice? And full disclosure, I only knew to look for this because I saw it in a tweet. And I don't remember, I saw it, like, skimming my timeline, so I don't remember who pointed it out. But that scene that ends with Doc looking in the mirror, and then we get to cut the cut to the opening credits. Did you notice he fades in the mirror?
Yeah. I saw it on my second watch.
Yeah, it literally took a lot of, like, pausing and playing. And I don't know if it's just because of, like, the lighting or something like that, because I like, didn't think anything of it at first when I was watching it, and then I realized he totally fades.
Yeah.
So I thought that was, I definitely didn't see it until my third watch, though. But I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, it's a very slow turn.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I want to know when he gets to start, like, glamoring people and stuff.
Right? Yeah. Let's get some powers going.
So, I wonder if Kate used that at all, too. Like, tried to glamour him at all at any point.
Yeah. Isn't that always the thing with vampires? Like, how much is free will? I don't know.
Yeah. Also, once again, took a little bit of pausing, but we're talking about vampy stuff. So, we've talked about how it looks like they have, like, a metal grill situation.
Yeah.
With Doc, it doesn't really, like, because it appeared when he got all, like, growly, and I think it's, like, this weird, like, it didn't look like it was, like, he had one of those grills. It looked like it was actually, like, some, like, weird supernatural teeth situation. Or something. Like, it was really weird.
I saw it, but I think part of what makes it tough on Doc is he does have that large mustache. So you don't really have a clean shot of it in his mouth, you know, like, unlike with Kate. Yeah. So that's my only thing is I don't know. But what's funny about you mentioning that is I did wonder, like, how'd they get a grill made for him so fast? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I guess if it's a supernatural grill, that would make so much more sense than, like, an on-call dentist or somebody.
That would be kind of cool, an on-call vampy dentist.
Right? You gotta get the weirdest requests in purgatory.
I mean, granted, he should be able to do some of his own dental work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't. Okay. Wow. Excuse me, listeners, I managed to forget the entire history of the actual Doc Holliday for a second there, but I'm back.
It's quite all right. That means we're off to a fabulous start.
Mm-hmm. Headcanon, Doc made his own grill. I love it.
It could happen. You never know. I mean, we're still kind of on the Doc as a vamp train, so do we want to continue on that a little bit? Because might as well get that all out of the way.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
I thought it was interesting that Michelle knew, like, right away that he was a vampire.
Yeah.
And, at first I was wondering how she knew, but, I have a feeling that the Ray-Bans he was suddenly wearing after spending a week AWOL and knowing that his wife is a vampire might have helped to tip her off.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I also saw a lot of people speculating that maybe it is some kind of residual, like, she does see things. That's why she was able to see, like, Jolene when Waverly was a baby and everything. So maybe it is something, like, she has some sort of ability to kind of see things a little bit more, like...
Sure, some sort of sensitivity for it, or... Yeah.
Something, yeah. Seeing or sensing in some way, shape, or form.
Demon Dar, if you will.
Sure.
There we go.
Yeah, that works.
also kind of on the Doc train, but a little separate. Like, with Bulshar's ring, Catherine, like, I think you speculated that the ring might be, like, Bulshar's version of Peacemaker, either, like, made of similar stuff or, like, similar in function or something like that. Like, I know that we had a conversation and you had, like, drawn a parallel, the possibility that the ring was also made of amylite or something like that.
Yeah, I did suggest that. Yeah. I had forgotten I suggested that maybe they were made of the same stuff.
Yeah, because when Mama Earp pulls that shotgun on Doc, he's holding the ring, and the ring is glowing yellow, and it's the same color Peacemaker glows when it lights up to kill a Revenant. So I think you were onto something there.
Possibly. I hope so. I love it when I'm right. And you got to be right this episode, like, for a big thing, too. I was very excited about that.
I did. Do we want to talk about that now?
That was a great transition, but I know we still have, like, one more bit of Doc as a vamp to talk about. I feel
like, yeah, go ahead and do that. Yeah, let's save the Nedley stuff.
Yeah. I hate it when I leave a good transition just alone. My bad. Anyway, I'll find a better one.
Yeah.
No, I guess we should probably talk about that last scene with Wynonna and Doc, too.
Okay. Yep.
With Michelle warning Wynonna not to trust Doc.
Yeah.
And I think that scene was interesting. I think it was... I felt kind of on both sides of, like, in this situation, because Doc did a really selfish kind of BS thing.
Sure.
And, like, trying to be like, oh, well, I was, I had to do this or whatever, and then turn around going, it was the only way to be immortal. It's like, yeah, dude, you did this. It was completely selfish. But also, like, I feel like Wynonna isn't really in a position to be like, but what about us? And, like, especially, like, earlier in the episode, Waverly made a comment about, like, I guess you and Doc aren't a thing anymore, and she's like, we were never a thing. You can't have that attitude and then be like, what about us, when he does something. And, like, that was kind of his whole thing. Like, that's kind of his whole thing, is he's like, he opened the door for Wynonna to be like, okay, yeah, like, I do have feelings or whatever. And she, like, slammed it shut.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to be like, well, what about us? Kind of, it's like, no, Wynonna, you don't get to have it both ways. And we've talked about how Wynonna tries to do that, like, all the time.
Yeah, she does. To kind of narrow the focus on Wynonna for a minute, she says in about as many words that the reason she's reluctant to warm up to Nicole is because she keeps expecting her to leave and for her to hurt Waverly, right? But I think it would hurt Wynonna too. And when they're handcuffed to each other in the woods, Wynonna sort of hints at this. She tells Nicole there are no rules in purgatory, and if she wants to play by rules, she should leave, right? She should go do it somewhere else. And there's a big part of Wynonna that's used to people leaving when they find out the truth about purgatory or whatever their reasons. and leaving Purgatory is leaving the only world that Wynona's ever really known. I mean, I know she's traveled, but I don't think she ever got very far in her mind. And like whether or not these people are leaving the town or it's madness, I don't know how it could not feel like a rejection to Wynonna. And in the end of this episode, Wynonna has to experience everything that she's been talking about to Nicole, all of this abandonment and rejection. When she finds Waverly crying, right? Except it wasn't the girlfriend, it was the mother. And, she tells her that Michelle is gone, and, then she lives it again through Michelle's letter, which leads her to find out that Doc is, while he's still very much around, he has joined the dark side. And to Wynonna, that is as good as gone.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, I don't know, pretty tough episode for her, given, like, the things that she sort of owned up to and confronted in this episode, and then to sort of, at the end of the episode, all of those fears that, she sort of finally confided in Nicole were justified and realized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with what you're saying. And, like I said, I still think, like, Wynonna, it was still kind of her let's have it both ways thing with Doc is
I do too.
Crappy. But, I mean, Doc really, he messed up big time. And he also, like, the fact that he wasn't going to give Wynonna the ring, and he only did it because he couldn't use it. Yeah. So it's like, he's still, I mean, he's selfish as all get out.
Yeah.
And the one thing I didn't like in that scene was Wynonna slapping him.
Yeah.
And I know, I keep forgetting to look at the link, but I know Doc Stash on Twitter has been, like, having this conversation for the past few days about how, it's kind of that double standard where it's like, if Doc had been the one to hit Wynonna, everybody would be really, like, rioting about it. But since it was the other way around, everybody's like, oh yeah, Wynonna slapped Doc. And it's like, I mean, it still doesn't make it okay.
No.
I mean, like, you kind of get why she did it, but that's still, like, I didn't love it.
No, me neither.
So I wanted to just throw that out there. And also, Wynonna uninviting Doc was so great.
There are so many Buffy parallels in this episode that I had to hijack my tarot section so that I had space enough to, like, write it all out. And Wynonna uninviting Doc into her home is Buffy's Sorry Angel Changed the Locks in Passion Season 2 of Buffy.
Oh yeah, and it's so good. It's also, like, it kind of was a very nice True Blood throwback for me too, except one of the best parts about with True Blood was, like, if the vamp was in the house and somebody, the owner, whoever, was just like, you're not allowed here anymore, they would actually back the vampire, like, the vampire would actually have one of those, like, be pulled out of the house, and it's the greatest thing, and I kind of love that they did that.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Wynonna makes it pretty easy. Buffy had to do a whole ritual to get it.
It's true. Yeah. Not just on Buffy's home, but, I was going to say Cordelia's car.
Cordelia's car. That's exactly what... Great
so
minds.
Funny. Oh, my gosh.
Willow's house. I mean, they had to do it.
Yeah.
Do it all over the place. But most importantly, Cordelia's car. Although I really want to know if they actually did try to perform the ritual in her car.
I'm betting that, like, once Cordelia got it in her head that had to happen, there was no way for Willow to say no to it.
I'm just, like, picturing, because they had to hang crosses and stuff like that up too, or because, like, we see Willow doing it and she has to hide it because they're Jewish. Like, I just, you have this image of, like, Cordelia just having crosses over, like, every door in her car and stuff like that, and it's just, like, putting them in the handles, like, so you can't open the handles without touching one. It's just, like, you picture her going, like, all out like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, people, that was a tangent, but...
It's delightful to imagine.
It really is. Look, that episode needs some light parts.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
But yeah, okay. I think that was, like, a lot of my Doc feelings, so. It was also, like, I have to say, watching him, like, cry, and he's so upset, like, when he growls at Wynonna, and, like, when he goes all vampy, like, his reaction, he's kind of, like, horrified. So you do feel for him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he did bite off a little bit more than he could chew in this situation. I know. Also, he's gonna have a problem with Kate, because Kate's like, well, now you're mine forever, just like you wanted. And it's like, Kate, he wanted the immortality. He didn't want to be linked to you forever.
Yeah, but I think with a lot of like vampires, that's sort of how it works. There's an indestructible bond between like sire and fledgling. So I'll be really curious to see how that's handled on this show. I'm curious to see like there are some mythologies where the sire can't be hurt by the fledgling, or like they exert so much like psychological control over them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So so I'm curious to see what's going to happen there. Also,
there's also some that dictate like killing the maker will, undo the fledgling or whatever you want to call it being turned, and there's some that don't say that. So it's really situational depending on which mythology you're using.
Yeah.
So sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, Kate keeping like a treasure trove of trophies for her kills is not awesome. That's some serial killer shit. But then again, like, what are vampires if not the serial killers of the supernatural? Which is probably also why I love them. But, like, still, like, this episode was not great for her character, and it does not bode well for Kate fans. She's certainly evil-leaning in this episode. She's, like, evil-adjacent, if you like. And I hope there's more to know about her and her motives. I really do. Yeah. I hope she's not simply evil, but I'm not so sure anymore. And I think that was sort of the point behind Doc finding those mementos.
Maybe. I mean, this show doesn't often do evil without layers in the demon, like in the demons that are like major characters. Like, we've got Bobo, we had Rosita who turned. She was fine.
Fish and Levi.
Yeah. And they end up doing it in like, the more normal people tend to be the more like terrible people, like in a more real way, like, Tucker and Bunny in this episode and stuff like that. So I'm sure she does have layers.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a hard time believing that she's been like after Doc this entire time, like,
and only
woman,
that. Yeah.
You're an attractive woman and you have been around for a long time. You cannot tell me that your focus for the past 100 some odd years has been Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's something else. And, I mean, I think we've thrown it out before that she could be working for Bolshar. Have we thrown it out before?
Yeah, I think,
I think you did, maybe, right?
I don't know who did, but, yeah, it's a conversation that we've had.
Yeah, I get podcast goldfish memory, so sometimes it's... Yeah, I thought it had come up. See, and then I have these conversations with people outside of the pod, so sometimes I forget. But yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more to learn about Kate. But yeah, the serial killer-esque trophy drawer was not great. So I guess that does that knock us out for everything we wanted to talk about with Doc and Kate?
I think so.
Okay. And then what we were going to slide into. I don't remember what we were going to slide into. Probably talking about, was it Wynonna or Nicole?
It was Nedley.
Was it Nedley? Okay.
Yeah.
I was wrong on both counts. All right. Yes, let's talk about Nedley because I love him dearly.
Okay. I've got a lot to say about Nedley. So, and I have a feeling that we're going to talk about him quite a bit in this episode. But I would like to start with the occult closet.
Yes.
Yeah, because the thing that, I don't know if you're going to be as excited by the time I get done with this. The thing that gets me here isn't that he had like a hidden storage closet of strange artifacts. In fact, like that, I thought that made perfect sense.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, like someone in purgatory kind of had to have that haunted storage locker. What like really got me about it was that Nedley didn't know what any of that stuff meant. He had Wynonna and Nicole dig through it. He left it to them to decide what to keep and what to burn. And I kind of couldn't help but picture like that first gruesome crime scene you know, and like a young Nedley like called to the scene of some murder that he couldn't possibly solve. And the only real lead left behind was some, like, inexplicable jar or gem or cursed medallion or something.
Yeah.
And, you know, young Nedley knew it was important, like, as surely as he knew he was never going to understand exactly what it was. So he kept it, and he kept it separate from any other evidence collected for reasons he probably couldn't explain to anyone. And he, like, barricaded it in his office where he was the only person in danger from this object. And Nedley had to make that same decision, like, over and over again for, like, how many years and in how many different investigations. And, like, each time knowing that what he was holding was important, but, you know, not knowing where the threat was going to come from, kind of a thing. And yeah, so that closet in his office is like, it's like a cabinet of bombs that he was able to, like, temporarily pause or disarm, or like his own personal Pandora's box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that closet. Yeah, he's just ferreting them away. It's like, oh, this looks like it could be wonky. And I wonder, like, how many things in there is stuff that he just, like, thought might have been weird, but is, like, totally normal? I just want to know, like... Or, like, how did he know to put the... Like, I have questions. Like, how did he know to put the gnome statue in there?
Man, I don't know.
What's the story behind that one? Because I'm not going to look at a lawn gnome and be like, oh, that goes in my weird closet.
I hope that gnome was, like, moving on its own. I hope that was the phone call that he got. Like, the gnome would just be in, like, different people's yards and different places, and people are like, look, nobody knows this, nobody owns this gnome. Like, just come and get it. Like, come and take, and so he just had to, like, go pick up the gnome so that it would stop harassing the subdivision.
Oh, God, what a nightmare.
Isn't it awful?
What a nightmare situation. Lara, what the hell?
That's where I went.
That's terrible.
I know.
That's terrifying.
I know.
Oh, God.
I broke Catherine.
Just moving? Yeah, I mean...
No, not even moving. Like, it's just there, like, maybe one day it's at your window. You know what I mean? And, like, it's not your gnome.
What the hell is
it's
wrong
nobody's
with you?
gnome. And it just moves when you're not looking at it. Like the Weeping Angels.
Okay, we're gonna have to step off of this gnome train.
All right.
What is it with me and trains today? I don't know. Anyway, so that's horrifying. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, listeners, for that nightmare. I'm sorry I couldn't stop it. Yes, Nedley's closet is great, and I like how Wynonna's just like, I'm not going to deal with this because, you know, he's only doing this to get us to work together. Even though, like, he doesn't necessarily have to do that. Like, they work together enough where, you know, he doesn't necessarily have to do that. He probably, like, part of him probably legitimately did want them to go through that closet.
Yeah, I think so.
So I do like how Wynonna's just sitting there with a box of donuts and eating donuts and going through his calls, like his notes.
I love his pep talk to Nicole about Bunny Loblaw and, like, dealing with bullies and showing confidence, like, in the face of fear and rejection. Like, I don't know if I want Nedley to be my boss or if I want him to be my dad, and can't he just be both?
Yes, I like that. Both is good. Both is good.
Perfect.
Yeah, because especially, like, Nicole is totally, like, nervous when she's, like, bopping around the house cleaning. And I like how the second Nicole leaves, Wynonna's like, Bunny's gonna eat her up. It's like, wow. But I do like how when we go to Nicole's, it's like, Nicole's, like, bopping around cleaning. And of course she thinks to put the Bible out. But she doesn't think that maybe she should put the photo of her and Waverly away. So I kind of like that.
That was
also, like,
that was another one of my favorite moments, was just like throwing the King James down on the coffee table, like, this couldn't hurt.
Yeah, but like I said, like, looking at the photo of her and Waverly and just being like, Bible. But also, like, Bunny just letting herself into Nicole's house.
Yeah.
Like, woman, polite society, you do not do that. Who raised you?
Yeah. You have to admit, too, that it was genius to have Bunny completely alienate all Earpers within the first 2 minutes she was on screen by looking at that adorable way hot photo and calling it disgusting. Like, we immediately, we knew, like, the kind of person we were dealing with, and when she saw that gnome dude and screamed ISIS, I about died. I
know. Well, I mean, her first strike was coming against, like, was attacking a cat.
Yeah, that's true.
Just straight up. Okay, well, her first strike for me was walking into somebody's house. And then she went after Calamity Jane, who I still believe should have been named, I will die on this hill, who should have been named Cat-Lamity Jane. I said that when when it was first mentioned, and I will say it again, it's a calamity that she was not named Cat-Lamity Jane. Anyway, Nicole has no appreciation for excellent pet names. And then, of course, she it's the disgusting thing. But yeah, the ISIS thing, when she sees it's like clutching her art, help, ISIS! She drops is just too much.
Whatever you may think of Bunny Loblaw, like, Jan Arden was phenomenal in this role. She was absolutely despicable. Yeah. And she was a sound and timely reminder that not all evil in purgatory is supernatural in nature. She's the embodiment of, like, everything that we're fighting against, in 2018. Mm-hmm. She's a local representative. She's super conservative. She's homophobic. She's racist. She's misogynistic. And I remember, Earpers, my fellow voters, that white women, aka Bonnie Loblaws of this country, elected Donald Trump. Stop Bunny in 2020.
You. Yes. Somebody make that t-shirt, please. Somebody make that t-shirt. I also should, somebody make that t-shirt. Because you're absolutely right. It's like, they use Tucker to present this misogynistic jerk. Mm-hmm. That the nerdy guy that you don't, like, really give much of a care to in high school. Not because he was a nerd, but because he was a creep.
Right,
like,
yes.
Let's be clear about all of this. No, like, for those of you, like, for men who are like, she doesn't like me, it's like, no, it's because you're a creep. It has nothing to do with your interests.
Yeah,
I'm not about Star Wars.
I'm
a
huge nerd.
Stop being a creep.
So, like, that's not.
I know.
Yeah, it's not what it is.
No.
And gay, but
yeah. It's fine. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like Bunny was definitely that. I mean, she is the Trump vote. Like, she is the white lady who voted for Trump and got him elected because she didn't give any care in the world about anybody else but herself.
Yeah.
We went and got political up in this bitch. And I'm so not cutting that.
Nah, keep it. Everybody should vote.
I have to. I know. I just meant me saying we got political up in this bitch.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm not cutting that.
Keep it, yeah.
No, I'm not cutting the rest of it. Yeah, anyway, get out and vote, guys. This is your PSA for the day. God, I'm in a mood today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Actually, it's fine. I'm perfect. It's fine.
I'm perfect. I was going to tell you, but you already know.
Thanks.
Bunny's fainting spell brought about a moment of, like, pure comic genius. Noelle Carbone wrote this episode, and I would like to personally thank her for it. The differences between Wynonna and Nicole are marked, and we all understand that these are two vastly different women, but Noelle illustrates this hilariously in a scene where both women are just on totally separate minds. They just, totally different tracks. And, oh my gosh, the train thing. Yeah. It's me too now.
Right.
Anyway, so Bunny faints and Nicole rushes to her side. Wynonna does not rush and does not care. Wynonna's ready to bury the body. Nicole is checking for a pulse. Nicole asks Wynonna to grab the purse to check for allergy meds. Wynonna assumes she wants to rob her. Nicole is looking for allergy meds. Wynonna thinks she found Oxy. It's brilliant, and it culminates in a stolen cop car and a bunny abduction. The episode is so hilarious that it's almost easy to miss that all of this catastrophe was foreshadowed by a broken mirror. And it not simply, the result of forcing two diverging personalities with their own way of doing things to work together as a team. Yeah. So it works on both levels.
Yeah, I mean, I knew, like, I love those, like, I had, like, my favorite moments, it was like, boom, 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 because it was like, Wynonna offering to hide the body, because, you know, they may have their differences, but at least Wynonna's a good friend to have.
Word.
And then, like, you know, it's not only that, but yeah, thinking multiple times that they're gonna steal from Bunny, like, when Nicole tells her to go get a purse, so we are stealing from her.
Yeah.
It's like, no, and Nicole slapping the pill bottle out of Wynonna's hand is so great. And I absolutely love them pouring the tea into Bunny's mouth from the teapot. Them just dumping the teapot into her mouth. It's so great. Yeah, I mean, it must be really terrible to think that your cat killed somebody, but I think Kat, she was in Whiskey and Donuts after the episode on Friday, and I have, like, a whole bunch of things I think I want to mention about this. Mm-hmm. But she did mention that apparently they've had to put, like, because, you know, cats are not really, like, dogs are pretty easy to train for, like, TV and stuff like that. Cats, not so much. So she said something about, like, Kat has a great video of them spraying catnip on Jan Arden's butt because it was the only way the cat would stay in that scene. And it's also the same cat as last time. Yeah, I just, when Kat was talking about that, I need to say Catherine Burrell. I can't just keep saying cat. When Catherine was talking about that, it made me really laugh. And then she also mentioned that she's not a huge cat person, so, like, that spoke to me on a spiritual level. Look, they're fine. They're just unpredictable and terrible at the same time. Don't come at me about my cat dislike. Anyway, so I just wanted to say that just because it was a really funny anecdote, and I really hope she posts that video on Twitter at some point. Yeah, I mean, and we, like, Bunny's ridiculous vanity plate, too. The buns. Like, really leaning hard into that name. Also, the way Nicole puts her in the back of the car, like she was a perp. Yeah. Like, hand on her head, just kind of, like, pushing her in. And she's not delicate at all. And after she shuts the door, she's like, okay, that's enough out of you. Like, it was... that whole sequence, it's just so good. And, like, even down to, like, you know, like, Wynonna hotwiring the car, and Nicole's just like, I have the keys! It's so great. I love it so much.
I really like Bunny, like, digging for the truth about purgatory in Nicole's living room. Mm-hmm. Like, saying, like, don't give me that hooey about costume parties gone awry or zoo animals escaping. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't help but think of the prom, like, when Buffy receives her class protector award and her fellow students start talking about all the weird stuff they've seen that has never been explained to them, like hyena people. And on several occasions, we actually see Principal Snyder, like, spinning a cover story to explain the unexplainable. And we see, you know, him do this with the mayor a couple times in season 3, too. So I thought that was cool.
And it's, like, always gangs on PCP.
Yeah, it's always...
yeah, I had a note about that. I mean, it's nice to have... like, we already kind of figured... I think everybody kind of figured that they use Sunnydale excuses. But it's nice to have confirmation that that's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that class protector award scene. It's so good. Yeah, here, let me get emotional about Buffy before later I get emotional about Wynonna Earp.
Then let me keep you right here on Buffy for a second, because Wynonna and Nicole arguing over who should be sheriff and, like, who has what it takes to be sheriff is Buffy versus Cordelia for Homecoming Queen.
Totally. I also have to mention that, you know, while they're arguing, I love Nicole. You know how much I love Nicole. Had Nicole just stopped while she was ahead, had Nicole just stopped after Wynonna was like, yeah, no, I'm not qualified, Wynonna would not have even taken the possibility of her being sheriff seriously if Nicole hadn't kept, like, insulting her.
True.
Like, yeah, Wynonna knows she's a screw-up. But it's like, she kind of kept digging and digging and digging when she didn't need to. It was like, Nicole kind of, I love Nicole. And she kind of, like, went off a little bit. And it's like, girl, quit while you're ahead. Like, she's now on board with this because you've hurt her feelings.
Right.
Like,
she's gonna do it to get you back. Right.
Yeah, Wynonna does have that kind of tough exterior, but she still has feelings, and she's pretty sensitive to the way other people view her. Mm-hmm. And stuff like that, you know. So it was just like, that was like one of those things where you're like, Nicole, what are you doing, man? But yeah, totally a homecoming moment. And since we're to throw more Buffy episodes out, this episode was also kind of totally triangle.
Yeah.
The episode where Willow and Anya like can't work together and they end up releasing a troll, and it's a hot mess. I mean, a lot of that in that episode, it was arguing about Xander and that, but yeah, this episode was totally like the triangle episode too.
It was. So. Like, the gnome guy was Olaf the troll god, and his demands for a wife were sort of also Olaf demanding babies, but it was kind of, it was like a little bit of Sweet, the dancing demon from Once More with feeling thrown in. Like, you've summoned me and now you have to be my wife. So, yeah.
Sorry,
does this mean I have to be your wife?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. That's totally what I was just laughing about. Oh, man. Sorry, guys.
Buffy laughs.
Sorry. I know. Oh, I have to mention this. The name of the bar, the biker bar that all the Revs are hanging out, is called the Drowsy Bear Roadhouse. And, like, I have to say, like, maybe it's just me, but that screams less of a biker bar situation and more like a gay bar.
Yeah. It's not just you.
Like, because I caught it on, like, I had paused it, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's the name of the roadhouse. And I was like, is this what bikers are like in Canada? The Drowsy Bear? It just made me laugh.
I was glad to see Nicole doing some canvassing and, like, schmoozing in this episode.
Yeah.
Because, as you pointed out, sheriffs are typically elected. And, it seems that Nicole isn't simply, like, stepping into Nedley's job. She's, like, actively seeking support from the community. Bunny's on city council. So it's not a simple promotion. Yeah, and it seems like they need city council approvals. And I wasn't sure where the fire station came in, whether or not, like, there's a representative of the firehouse on the city council, or she knew that she could get that push with, both, like, the firefighters on her side. I wasn't sure if maybe that was it, but yeah, I was really glad about that too, because like I said that last week, like, I thought there was a vote involved in being sheriff, and that could be totally different in Canada, but sorry, I just cleared my note for that, and then underneath I have Jeremy is totally getting one of those firefighter calendars. He's gonna love it. Wait till he sees Easter. April, sorry.
I knew what you meant. It's fine. Yeah, no, that made me laugh. Keeping on with, I guess, well, I mean, it was a very Nicole episode. I wasn't mad about it. I like how when they, like, get to the bar, Wynonna, after Nicole breaks the key in the lock, Wynonna's, like, all set to use Peacemaker on the door, and, like, puts her gun down for a like, Nicole has her put the gun down, and she's like, it could ricochet and hit Bunny, and she's like, I'll take the risk.
Yeah.
And then it's like, or us. All right.
Yeah.
It's like, I love how had no care about Bunny, but did care about them. And, like, when they get in the bar and suggest the contest, Nicole's like, Golden Girls trivia? Like, that's what she's good at.
I really felt connected to Nicole Haught in this episode, because that's me too. Yeah.
I think it made me laugh because Monica, who's at Lesbianzer on Twitter, tweeted, like, that's just another way, like, you really want to challenge me to Golden Girls trivia, that's just another way that scene could have gone. And let me tell you, there is a part of me that wishes it had gone that way, because that would have been, like, the most hilarious thing.
Especially if, like, the Revenants knew a lot about the Golden Girls. Like, what if it was close?
I know! That would have been so great! I mean, we probably wouldn't have gotten Drunk Nicole, and I love Drunk Nicole with a passion. I also love that this is twice now we have gotten Drunk Nicole and Sober Wynonna.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the Golden Girls trivia thing could have been fabulous.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Maybe if we wish hard enough, maybe that's episode 407.
Wynhot handcuffed and, like, trying to, like, sell, I'm kind of skipping forward, but, like, trying to sell each other to the mountain gnome, like, reminded me of my mother's favorite form of punishment. If she caught me and my brother, like, in a fist fight, which was all the time, she would sit us down facing each other and make us, like, take turns saying 5 nice things about one another. And the thing is,
man.
We hated this punishment so much. It literally always worked. Like, and my mom would stretch it out if she caught you being, like, disingenuous or, like, anything like that. Like, she would be like, okay, that one doesn't count, and she would make you do another one. And it was horrible. It was terrible. And it worked.
It's the get together t-shirt, or like a get along t-shirt. Yeah. That's what I meant. Oh my god. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my parents never did anything like that. And, like, I have 4 siblings. And, I mean, granted, I was, like, not around 2 of them. But, yeah, I mean, so it's, like, I have a lot of fighting with siblings. And I think a lot of times it was like, you guys would get into a fight, and it's like, don't tell mom and dad. Yeah. Don't tell mom and dad. Yeah. It's, like, that's such a sibling thing. But I don't think I've ever, like, no, they never made us do something like that.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Oh, man.
So effective.
No kidding. Yeah. Damn, dude. But now you love each other.
Yeah, that's fine now.
Speaking of siblings, like, I did want to mention, like, Nick, like, earlier in that scene with their closet, and, like, when Wynonna takes the mirror out and is ready to toss it, Wynonna, like, total sibling move by letting go of that mirror when Nicole has it and letting her fall back and, like, fly backwards with it. Like, I know, like, they're not, like, but, you know, they're you know, they're gonna be in-laws at some point.
Yeah.
Like, come on. But it's like, that was such, like, one of those moves where it's just like, okay, you want it? Boop, you can have it.
Yep.
It's like, oh man. That never ends well when you do that.
Somebody gets hurt. Breaks. Somebody's bleeding by the end of it.
Something or someone always breaks.
Yes. I think for an episode that had so little Jeremy and Waverly, the screen time they did get was wonderful. And, like, both of them, like, you know, like, charging the gnome to defend, you know, Wynonna and Nicole, though Jeremy wised up and realized he should sit this one out. The adorable nerd team, like, figuring out the mirror and the gnome wife to save everybody from their impending nuptials. Like, all these, I love all of these, like, vastly different people, like, doing what they're best at, and in the end, like, coming together as just one messy but beautiful team.
Yeah, I did. They had very few moments because it was a very, like, Wynonna and Nicole heavy episode. So, but yeah, the moments with Waverly and Jeremy were so great. And even, like, it starting with her having to wake him up. And then being like, we gotta get you a falafel. Which apparently Dom changed that line from grilled cheese to make it vegan. So, they had some really good moments. And I like how Jeremy got, like when he was talking about how unlucky their day was. And it's just like, he was, like, able to laugh about it a little bit.
Yeah. Wardrobe is an excellent way to, like, showcase age and maturity. And this season, we've seen Waverly dressing pretty differently, and by differently, I mean fewer crop tops. Like, we've seen her in sweaters, and now blazer, and, like, personally, I think Dom looks stunning in a blazer, and I do hope that this shift in attire was deliberate. I suspect that it was. And to be clear, people can dress however they want, in whatever way makes them feel confident and sexy. I'm not here to shame a crop top preference. We all win with a crop top, but I did believe that Waverly's wardrobe had a lot to do with, one, having, you know, being super young and having a killer body, and you go girl, and two, working in a bar and working for tips. But she's been, you know, like, she's been out of shorties for a bit now. She's seen a lot, she's been through a lot, she's in love, and now we're sort of seeing a different style of dress, and I think that's intentional, and I like it.
Yeah, no, it's been good, and it is also nice to not cringe every time Waverly every time they have an outside scene, because it's Canada in the middle of winter, and you can see her breath, so it is nice to not do that. But no, I think I think you're right. You're definitely onto something there with the wardrobe. I mean, some people don't necessarily pay attention to that, but I think that's a good call. So, especially, I think I mentioned this last week or the week before that somebody did point out, one of our listeners pointed out that they've been putting Waverly in more white this season too. Or was that? Yeah.
You brought it up. Yeah.
I don't remember in what context. Again, podcast goldfish.
I think it was that temperance card angel thing.
Yeah,
I think
possibly. So. I don't remember. I just know it happened. So, boom, mentioned. Again. So, yeah, it's a good call about the wardrobe. Oh, we mentioned Wynonna and Nicole handcuffed together, but them, like, trying to walk around was so hilarious. Like, trying to walk... I mean, they're, like, at a foot of snow trying to get up, like, that little hill, and I think Kat and Whiskey and Donuts mentioned that, like, the first set of handcuffs they actually broke. Like, it was the first scene that they filmed, and they actually broke the first set of handcuffs trying to get up there.
Good job, ladies.
So, I know. Well, it's hard. Also, in that scene at the end with the, like, after Jeremy drops the broom. I forgot I had this note, sorry. After Jeremy drops the broom, and then Wynonna picks it up, and is, like, holding it to get, like, the space between them and this gnome. And Nicole is behind her, like, brandishing her radio as a weapon. Like, she has a gun, and she's standing there brandishing her radio at, like, a weapon.
She's still pretty drunk.
So good.
Yeah, like...
I know. I love her. And I do appreciate, you know, that she wasn't pulling her gun, because that's not safe to handle weapons when you're intoxicated.
True.
There's another PSA for today. Nicole had so many good scenes with people this episode.
She did.
Because you mentioned the Nicole and Wynonna scene at the end, and that scene leads to my favorite scene in the episode. Man, I wish I could talk. My favorite scene in the episode, and one of my favorite scenes in the whole series, I think. That scene with Nedley and Nicole. Mm-hmm. Can we talk about that scene with Nedley and Nicole?
We can. Say it with me, everyone. Sheriff Nedley saved baby hot. Like, Catherine.
And Lara was right!
I have so many feelings. I don't even know what to do with all of them. I want to watch this scene every night before bed and ugly sob into my pillow. Just over the beauty of, like, chosen family and the potential that others see in us before we see it in ourselves, and the life-altering impact that one good role model can have upon our lives. But, like, seeing as how, like, we got some answers from this scene, so let's list it out. Nicole got into that canoe, and she survived the Meushaw massacre, and Nedley found her and rescued her from the water. Nedley kept an eye on her after that, thinks of her as a daughter. This woman who has not spoken to her parents in ages, and not because she's gay, but because she's a cop. And that's okay, because she has, like, a cop dad now. And I know. And Nedley scouted Nicole for this job, and everything good that Nicole has in her life now is because one good person saw the potential in her and made space for her.
I know.
I wish people could see your face right now.
It's probably a similar reaction I had when on my other podcast we were talking about a very emotional episode of Xena. So sorry. No, that episode just, it was a punch in the heart, and it was such, like, Nicole, just watching Nicole nervously, like, show him the photo and not say anything, and then, you know, listening to him, like, just that interaction where he's like, well, you're like a daughter to me. I mean, and then it's like, I made myself tear up when I made a note about this. Like, this is how, like, terrible this was. But it was just like, you know, just think about little Nicole Hott wanting to be a cop because a cop saved her from that terrible, terrible thing that happened. And, you know, she wanted to help people and save people like she was saved. And then, like, not even remembering that was why, because trauma does crappy things. And, you know, her parents rejecting her because she wanted to be a cop. And it's just like, it's just so heartbreaking. And it's like, she wanted to save people like she was saved. And just like, I have a lot of feelings about Nicole Hott.
I know.
And Randy Nedley. That was such a well acted scene, and it's so good. It's so good.
I'm also going to need somebody to just put Nedley in a protective bubble, at least until the Way Hot wedding, because I think somebody else pointed this out on Twitter. If he's not the one to walk Nicole down that aisle, like, I rage quit life.
I know.
You guys, Catherine can't deal with the cute that is Nedley and Nicole. Like, she can't deal with it.
I know. It's really a shame that none of you can see my face at the same time. I'm kind of glad, but I know. And it's just like, it makes you so much more nervous, because when you have a character who's like retiring and who's all like, I'll be here as long as you need me, you're like, okay, put that man in a protective bubble and get him out of purgatory.
Yeah.
Now!
Yeah.
Get him out of the triangle.
Yeah, just plop him right down on the other side of the triangle, please. Like, I love Nedley. I want him in every episode, but, like, keep him alive.
Here now.
Yeah. They could go visit him, you know, and it would be like Home Improvement, like the guy over the fence, you know, you, like, never
Wilson.
see. Yeah, exactly.
You never see his whole face.
Yeah.
That'd be great. You know, maybe he just takes a vacation. Just get out of the triangle, please.
I'm not gonna lie, after last week when you speculated that Nedley might become like a Shorty's barfly now, like now that he's retired, my heart kind of lurched in this episode when Wynonna finds him at the bar. And I'm happy it was only ginger ale, but like it did give me a scare.
No, it wasn't ginger ale after Wynonna got done with it.
No.
I'm still on that scene with Nedley, especially like that's now the third member of our lovely family that has kind of been watched over by Nedley, and it just, you mentioned it, like that we like family, found family, chosen family, and it's like this show has so much of that as like an undertone and everything, and it's you know, you get really emotional, especially as a gay person, talking about this stuff, the importance of found family and chosen family.
Yeah.
And I really do appreciate, because we were speculating as to why Nicole doesn't talk to her parents. And I don't remember if we threw out the possibility of it being her sexuality. I'm sure we did.
We did. I know I mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine we wouldn't have. It was kind of nice that it wasn't the case. I kind of like that it was because, like, she was a cop and not about her sexuality. I mean, those stories are, like, super important and not to discount, but it is nice having a gay character who was rejected by their parents for not for the fact that they were being gay, but something else.
It actually made me think of, and I'm going to apologize because this is not a parallel we often make on this show, and I'm pretty sure I'm one of 6 people alive that enjoyed this season, but it reminded me of season 2 of True Detective, because Rachel McAdams' character was in a slightly similar situation. She had a father who was like this like super hippie, like enlightenment guru that they like went to go see for like something, and everybody was like, "That's your dad," like, you know, and all this stuff. And you know, she was raised with these, you know, parents who kind of let her do whatever she wanted and didn't really believe in rules and weren't really present. And then she, you know, she sort of went to the opposite end of the spectrum, and she became a cop. And it, it reminded me of that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I will take your word for it that it is a good parallel.
Yeah, I think I am one of the few people who actually liked that season.
Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, it's so emotional. Okay, quick. Think of something else to talk about.
Okay, yeah. Definitely don't think about Nicole standing in the door listening to Wynonna scare the vote from a xenophobic homophobe. Just don't think about it, Catherine. Don't think about this magical bro TP loving and respecting each other while bickering like the very best of frenemies. Don't think about how they love each other and it's canon now.
I love them so
I do
much.
too.
They are, I mean, they are so great. And I mean, like, I've talked about this before. It's like they have such a great relationship. I mean, definitely, I mean, bro TP if there ever was one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I love that scene of Wynonna defending Nicole. And then Nicole just being like, holding the beers and just standing there. And Wynonna's just like, how long have you been listening? It would be rude to interrupt. It's like, okay, cool. But yeah, I love that scene afterwards. It was so good. Love everything about Nicole. It's fine. Also, the various nicknames we got from Wynonna for Nicole in this episode.
Ginger Spice was my favorite.
Yeah, but there's also like Deputy Tater Hot. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, Wynonna, why? Like, Ginger Spice at least made fabulous sense.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other, like, kind of big things this episode was Michelle she left to go find Julian. But we did get some information out of her. Also, like, you know, she kind of bullies Doc into acting as her Ober. And I just had to point this out. She goes to visit Warden Willow's gravestone. That is 100% a different cemetery than we saw in episode 3 of season 1. And I really, really hardcore noticed that. I'm like, that is very much, completely different. And it made me, like, we see her talking to, like, the gravestone and, you know, talking about Willow a little bit, you know, how she was spoiled and had a mean streak and would have been a terrible heir. And I was wondering if Michelle knows what happened with Willow. I can't imagine that would be something that they would rush to tell her.
I don't think they could not tell her, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. But they also haven't had a lot of time to just kind of go over stuff with her.
But this is, like, a whole third child that's missing, so, like, it had to be addressed.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they were just kind of, it was one of those things where they were just like, they left it at, oh yeah, Willow's dead, and just didn't talk about it or something. I don't know. I was wondering how they handled that.
I don't think that would fly with Michelle either. I don't think she would be like, oh, okay. Like, I don't think she's one to let anything go.
Yeah, but I mean, she had to have known about Warden Willow. So, like, I don't know if they just kind of left it at that. I'm not sure. That's why I was like, I'm just curious as to how they handled that.
Yeah.
We did find out, though, that according to Bobo, Ward actually pushed Julian over the border the night Waverly was born. And it's interesting that apparently he can't get back in. We do know that the border, you know, keeps some things in and other things out, but I find it interesting that Julian is apparently one of those things that was kept out if he tried to go back in. Mm-hmm. So, and if Bobo's, like, you know, telling us.
You know, you and I, we also had a conversation about, like, how, you know, angels are usually used for, like, specific tasks and stuff. So I kind of took this as, you know, he was sort of made for a specific place.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, like, put in one spot to fulfill some purpose. You know what I mean? So that's how I took it. So I think maybe Julian was created for a specific place to fulfill a certain goal or purpose or whatever. So it would kind of, you know, make sense if he was actually, like, tied to that spot. You know, that, like, pushing him outside of it would have negative consequences for him.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some people speculate that it was Juan Carlo, but I don't think that's the case. That would be weird.
I don't think so.
On, like, a lot of levels. But it's also, like...
That would be interference.
Yeah,
Juan Carlo doesn't do that,
of interference. So. Yeah. I also, like, that's a big if on if Michelle can even find him. We have no idea. It's been 20 some odd years, 22 years.
Yeah.
Since he went poof. I mean, that's a long time. And for him to have been, like, sticking around and stuff like that, that would surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah, Mama Earp visiting Willow's grave was kind of like a moment I didn't know I needed with her character. Like, you
Yeah.
know, in her words, like Willa, like you said, she's spoiled, she's selfish, she would have made a terrible heir. But that was like her baby and her firstborn,
Yeah.
and I think she knows that Ward had an unfortunate and undeniable impact on Willa. And we don't necessarily see the best side of Mama Earp in this episode. Like
No.
it's clear, and this was something I brought up last episode. It's clear that she has her, like, you know, like goals of her own. She has her own way of fighting. She says as much to Doc when, you know, she tells him that she freed Bobo.
Yeah.
I do think that she believes that, like Bobo, Julian might be able to help against the fight against Bulshar. I think that might be part of it, but I don't think that that's the only reason she's hunting Julian down. I do think she's still in love with him, and I think it's funny that, you know, we get that moment about Willa, you know, where she's calling her spoiled, she's calling her selfish, and I think that Michelle has a selfish streak that's not unlike what we saw in Willa, and I think she has a recklessness that is all Wynonna.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, like, Doc getting mad at her for setting Bobo loose was legitimate. Like, Bobo not only tried to kill the Earp girls multiple times, but by the end of it, he did kind of side with Bulshar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he ended up in the well because he was on that side with Bulshar and the Widows. So, like, he's not an ally in this fight. And I think it would take a lot for him to be one. I mean, they put him in a well for several months.
Yeah.
You know, she kind of deluded herself into making that, you know, she was making any excuse possible to justify her selfishness.
And I think that's closer to the heart of the truth of things.
Yeah, because Bobo's not an ally right now.
He's crazy too.
Yeah, it's just, nope. I did have a random question. Bobo is alive, and I don't remember if we've mentioned this, because he's been alive since, like, episode 11 of season 2. Does Bobo have any kind of claim on Shorties if he's alive right now?
I don't know. That's funny, though.
I mean, like...
He might still own it, yeah.
Yeah, Doc did buy it and stuff like that. Like, Doc, but I don't know what that happened, what the rule is here if, like, you come back from, like... How does that work? Because, I mean, purgatory rules have to be slightly different than regular rules.
I'd imagine more people come back from the dead in purgatory than in most other places.
And you have to imagine there's a demon in a position to kind of help make that easier.
Yes.
So, yeah, I just had that question.
This is really random, but I really liked, like, at Shorty's, Wynonna, like, starts comparing Nicole to Jack Torrance in The Shining, you know, like saying that Nicole's gonna lose her mind and start chopping people up with an axe. But Nedley does not get that she's, you know, referencing anything and assumes that Wynonna is talking about Dave at the Motor Inn, which is apparently a real axe murder that happened in Purgatory, and Wynonna has no choice, like, but to agree and be like, yeah, him too. And it was one of, like, the best low-key, like, pop culture riffs in the episode. They pulled it off beautifully.
It totally took me a second, and I was waiting for you to comment on it. Because, like, I've never seen The Shining. I only know, like, you know, that there's a few classic moments that you know from, like, that movie, and that's one of them. Like, the axe-wielding nonsense. But, yeah, I was like, I wrote up and I was like, was she making a Shining reference? And I figured you would mention it if she was. So.
Catherine, one of these days, I'm gonna drive to your home, and I'm gonna lock you in your room, and I'm gonna make you watch just classic films with me. I'm just gonna like cult films, classic blockbusters, whatever. I'm just gonna lock you in that room. I'm gonna feed you candy, and we're just gonna have a binge, and then I'm gonna leave, and I'll go back home once my work is finished.
Will not make comment about it. you know, you don't have to lock me into my room. Just come visit me.
Okay.
But
All
we'll,
right.
like, just, yeah.
All right.
It's okay. You don't have to, nobody has to be locked anywhere.
Well, you know me. That's just how my mind works.
I know. Just come visit. It's okay. Come visit me. It's nice. I don't need to be threatened. Yeah. Oh, and one of the things I wanted to mention, you know, Doc went and got a car for Michelle to use.
Yeah.
A car that looks very similar to one we saw earlier. And he does mention he stole it from the roadhouse and found it with the keys in the ignition. And so my first thought was, did Doc steal Bunny's car for Michelle to use? And that would have been the best thing, because I really, like, I looked at them both and I'm like, well, he did, like, clearly say he stole it from the roadhouse, and that would just be, like, really fabulous.
Not the best plan, only because that license plate is so easy to spot. Like, how many, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's the bun. You can't steal a car with a vanity plate, you know. But
Yeah.
but he probably did. It's probably the buns.
I need somebody to confirm that.
Yeah.
And I might tweet Emily and asking her about it. But yeah, I mean, I just, like, I noticed it on my last watch, because I caught, like, the Roadhouse line a little bit better, because I have trouble hearing sometimes. And I caught the Roadhouse line a little bit better, and I was like, wait a minute. So that would just be so funny if after everything, it's like, it was Bunny's car.
She also got carjacked. Insult to injury.
I know, man. But it would be really funny. I was kind of surprised, we didn't touch on this, that Nedley never shared that closet with dolls. Like, I know he said he initially didn't trust him, but, like, he had to have gotten to a point before Dolls died where he did trust him. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that he, you know, just didn't trust him enough to show him that closet.
Yeah.
I also, sorry, I have a few questions too, like, why did Wynonna cheat at the drinking contest? She definitely could have won that, especially if, like, Nicole was in an okay enough place where if she was, like, that drunk, Wynonna wouldn't have been worse off. So, like, Wynonna most definitely could have won that. So I don't know why she cheated.
I actually think that was one of, like, the more, like, mature decisions that she's made. Because she was like, I do. Because she was like, this is a dangerous situation. And I got to get Nicole out of this. Because I got us into this. So I've got to be sober for it.
That's fair. And I would, like, be really on board with that if her attitude about purgatory wasn't, there are no rules, so it doesn't matter.
Sure.
But no, I mean, that is a fair assessment of that. I also wanted to know, was Peacemaker drinking too? Because, like, it misfired quite a bit this episode. Like, it jammed quite a bit. It was, like, not happy. And then, oh, Charlie makes a comment about Purgatory Pride being his favorite event of the year, and I'm still not 100% sure that he was serious about it being a thing. And I don't know if that's just me, but it was just like, I don't know. Because she's like, you're not a homophobe, are you? And he's like, Purgatory Pride's my favorite event of the year. And it's kind of almost on the same, like, I don't know if it was one of those things where he was serious, or if it was also kind of one of those, like, I have a gay friend light kind of comment, you know?
I actually did think it was pretty serious. I think the reason that I thought that was because he went one further and he was like, we painted the fire engine rainbow. You know, like, I think because there was, like, a non-sexualized and, like, follow-up, like, almost, like, childish comment after. Like, it made it more genuine to me. Fair.
Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to mention before we go into quotes. It's about the promo. Did you happen to catch in that promo, it looks like Bolshar is resurrecting Constance.
I haven't seen the promo yet, because I'm terrible.
Oh, Sorry, dude.
No. You mentioned that on Twitter, or you, like, messaged that to me or something,
did.
and I was so happy about it. I love any excuse to bring back a bad villain, especially if that villain is a woman. And I always thought that Constance would come back eventually. I was actually, and I think you probably remember this, I was actually very upset in season 2 when she was just beheaded. And I was like, what? Like, it just...
I know.
Yeah, like, it seemed so abrupt to me, and she seemed to have such a tie to the Earps, to this curse, to this town, to, you know, all of this stuff that I was just like, man, you know, like, you could have done so much more with her. Like, why would you do that? So I'm actually delighted by this news.
I was very excited, and I immediately thought of you when I saw it.
I love that resurrected villains. You're just like, Lara's got to know.
I mean, I know how you feel about Constance. So.
I do.
No, I mean, because we were both very upset about her being, like, beheaded, and it was just kind of like, but she was such a fun villain.
Yeah. And it was so quick, and we didn't even see her. Mm-hmm. We just saw her head, and I was like, man.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, I forgot. Here I was like, I don't have anything else. But then I was like, I have a whole whiskey and donuts section. So sorry about this. Please excuse me as I go in detail everything I took notes of during Whiskey and Donuts, which, if you guys don't know, I've mentioned it before, but they are the post-episode hangouts that Kevin over at the Wynonna Earp podcast Twitter, and Bonnie, who co-hosts the podcast but is at Wynonna Fans on Twitter, host. So they're fun chats that, you know, fans get to go on and talk about theories, and as I mentioned, Kat Burrell popped in the Whiskey and Donuts for a good chunk of time. So, first fun fact, Rebecca Barrick, who is half of Fangirl Shirts. If you guys don't know what Fangirl Shirts is, please check out their website. They've got a lot of fun shirts. Apparently, I've just turned into a promo fiend right now. Rebecca mentioned that Loblaws is actually a grocery store chain in Canada, so she wasn't sure if that's where they got Bunny's name. As, like, kind of the uppity thing. And then I'm just going to highlight some of this stuff. Kat reiterated that there's still some great stuff coming for Nedley.
Good.
Like, so I'm excited to see that. She had no idea that they were going to do that with Nicole and Nedley either. Like, that their paths were going to be intertwined. She also had, like, you know, last week we had that end scene with Waverly, like, doing that little thing in, like, the sexy Santa outfit. Mm-hmm. And she talked about that Dom made the decision not to play it super sexual. They had talked about it, and it was supposed to be, like, more kind of like it wasn't supposed to be, like, super sexual. Or it was supposed to be more sexual, but Dom wanted to play it more shy and more real. So they had kind of had that conversation, and thought it was really great the way it came out. So I kind of thought that was a fun fact.
I think it was good too, and I agree with the way that it landed. Like, I think it did feel more authentic because, like, let's face it, like, I don't care how long you've been sleeping with somebody. If you're gonna, like, put yourself out there like that, like, in the daylight, like, in an outfit, like, singing and, like, all of, like, I think you're gonna be a little shy. Especially not if it's something that you do on the reg.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot, like, I mean, we didn't talk, like, a lot, I think, in this realm with the scenes, but yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, it's a very nerve-wracking, like, and vulnerable thing to do, and it doesn't matter how long you've been dating somebody or whatever, like, you still have those moments, so I thought it was really nice.
Me too.
Also, when they were filming and being handcuffed together, she and Melanie spent, like, 3 or 4 days handcuffed to each other. And, like, there was no release on the cuffs. It had to be released with a key.
Wow.
So...
Thank God they're friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Well, if they weren't before. So I just wanted to note some of that fun stuff, just because it was nice that Kat had popped in. So I think now I'm done. Now we can go to quotes, which, as per usual, I have a lot.
And strangely for me, I have quite a few.
Well, I mean, you gave a shout out to Noelle Carbone, who wrote the episode, and it's like, she was on fire, and I think it helped that it was a Wynonna and Nicole episode, because we always get a lot of really great lines between the two of them.
Yeah.
So, it was so great.
So, you already mentioned, I'm April this year, Happy Easter to me, so you cross that off.
Mm-hmm. I just love her delivery with that one.
I did think Wynonna's... Yeah, go ahead.
We might have the same one, so go ahead.
I liked the, I had a ride, now I need a nap, and a ride.
Okay, we didn't have the same one. when Charlie's like, Nicole warned me about you, and she's like, that I'm super flexible? No, that you're a hot mess. Well, it's better than a cold tidy. That made me laugh. She's trying really hard.
I really like push with your legs, shut up with your mouth.
That was next on my list. Am I finally going to see your sex cave? It's more of a closet. Retired Nedley is kinky.
Raccoon stuck in drop ceiling. Call cleared, but now require rabies shot.
I love that one, and I almost put it on my list, and I didn't. I liked when they opened the closet. It's like, how long have you been hiding this stuff? Since I became sheriff. Oh, we're going to find dinosaur bones.
Smooth move, and Ginger Spice. You just earned yourself 7 years bad luck.
It's like Hoarders meet Storage Wars, and I, for one, am here for it. And Nedley, are you looking at my ass? No. Yeah. I just love the deadpan, like, because he wasn't. Yeah. You know, no. He was being creepy.
Kind of a more somber note, Michelle's Willa would have been very sorry about Willa. That was always her first thought.
Oh, yeah, that was rough. What on God's flat earth is that?
Awful.
I know. And then you're not even qualified to run a Chipotle.
Guac, excuse
me? Guac, excuse me, sorry, yeah. It was so great.
I had that one too. I like, I mean, obviously, it's in the promo for the season. Purgatory is the goddamn Thunderdome, and I am Tina friggin' Turner.
Yeah. You mentioned the ISIS line, I just have to mention it again. And balls! Bunny's dead.
I know a dozen places we could hide the body. She's still alive. Fine, I'll save him for next time.
Her purse, Wynonna, get her purse. Yeah, cash. No, medication, Wynonna. And then just a bit later, go inside, get her purse, so you do want to rob her. Which, again, we talked about, but...
Yeah.
So great.
Sorry, but it's kind of funny. You guys have some terrible luck today. Like black fly in your Chardonnay kind of terrible. Speed it up, jagged little nerd.
Yeah. And there were 2 Golden Girls lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one was, ugh, of course the 2 frat boys drove your car to a biker bar. Yeah, well, maybe they're friendly bikers hosting a Golden Girls trivia night, which I missed on my first 2 rewatch. Yeah. Or my first 2 watches. I got it on my rewatch, my last rewatch.
And then, yeah, go ahead.
The what are you good at? Golden Girls trivia, drinking.
I like that Wynonna followed that like Golden Girls trivia night up with, well, Rose, we're not in St. Olaf anymore.
Yeah. And then when Nicole offers to like call the fire department and Wynonna like insists that they don't, she's like, they'll never let us sheriffs live it down.
Yeah. I really like You Must Be the Stupidest Heir Yet. Definitely in the top 5.
Yeah, I almost wrote that one down too. I had to start reining myself in.
Yeah, me too.
It still didn't work because I still have a lot, but I had to start reining myself in. Like when they're all talking about how, I feel fine and I feel college.
I feel good. I feel strong. I feel college.
Yeah. Oh, I learned it from Coyote Ugly. I love that movie.
I had that, and I also wrote, Nicole, you giant lesbian.
Yeah. I have not seen that entire movie.
I mean, it's not great.
No, I was, okay. So, like, a couple months ago, I had, like, been watching it, and then I got interrupted because my sister called me and spent, like, forever on the phone with me, so I tried to watch it. Like, I started it. I have seen the first, like, chunk of it. So, I've probably seen a good chunk of the important parts.
Probably.
But I liked, this was in the promo for the season, but Nicole yelling, stop quipping and run.
Yeah.
So great.
I really loved Any Last Words? I miss Macaulay Culkin. Tell Waverly I love her. Sure, make me look like an asshole.
That one was so good. I liked the mother bad lucker. It's jams, not even like space or strawberry, but the bad kind of jam. And the UB Scott, UB Tessa line.
Yeah. The ice skating thing.
It was an improv by Melanie. And I think if I remember correctly, that was one that Noelle Carbone had like tweeted. It's like, I was so mad that like I didn't write that line. Yeah. I have the entire like them going back and forth and complimenting each other about like, she'd make a great gnome wife. She's beautiful and annoyingly noble, and I know she's great in bed because my house has very thin walls. I mean, it also doesn't help if they have sex with the door open
Yeah.
either. Like,
You don't need thin walls for that.
they have no shame.
I really liked you never went through an experimental phase? Not with gnomes. Well, that's very narrow-minded of you, Nicole. Love is love.
Oh, that was so bad. You want a wife, but you need a mint after the gnome licks Wynonna.
Yeah, it was gross.
Jeremy and Waverly with the gnome was really funny. Boobs. Oh, hell, gnome. It's a lady.
Wish we had a gnome bra.
Yeah.
I really love Jeremy's. That's exactly how my first grinder date ended. I've said too much.
I know. I was like, no, wait, I have questions, Jeremy.
So many.
And then, like, the next ones, I have, like, huge blocks of text. So please bear with me as I go through this, and you should probably list yours.
Oh, I'm out, dude. That was my last one.
Are you out? Okay. I just want to make sure I'm out because, you know, as per usual, I transcribed huge chunks of scenes, so I just want to make sure that I'm not, like, missing something. Huh, I'm out too.
Nice.
No. My thing was really long because I transcribed the last 4 scenes. I wish I was kidding.
I know
am
you're
not.
not. I know.
Well, that was everything on my list to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Mine too.
Excellent. Well, I mean, that was a fun episode. I'm looking forward to next week to see what shenanigans the gang gets up to, and hoping that they kind of maintain this momentum. It's been like really choppy this season, and it's you know they've had a few really good episodes. So I'm kind of hoping that we get that keeps kind of going.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to next week to see what's left of Constance.
Yeah.
So, I think we get the potato lick next week too. So that would be nice. Maybe I can unmute the word potato.
Possibly.
Fine.
I think there will be a while where you're going to have to keep it and let the potato... I think the potato's going to gather
Probably.
steam again. And then you're going to have to let it run itself out, and then you can unmute.
Yeah. I'm sure. I just like feel really weird having that muted. It's like the weirdest thing on my mute list right now. Anyway, with that... thank you everybody for listening. If you haven't checked out my recap yet and are interested, you can check it out in a few places. I have retweeted it from the Make Your Peace Twitter, which is at 4YE_MYP podcast. You can get it from the 4YE Twitter, which is at 4_Y_E. To see it right away. And you can also go directly to our website at 4ye.co.uk. Also, if you're looking at, if you're reading this on, if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can also get a link in the description to the recap, unless I forgot to change it out, in which case it's last week's recap and you can still find it that way. So that is the number 4 for all of those. And then you can find me on Twitter at cmeushaw. That's at CMEUSHAW. And Lara, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at RSMayfair.
Alrighty. Well, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.